Good evening, Robert Perry. Still talking from Portsmouth, Rhode Island. It's the night before the election eve. Tomorrow we choose our entire House of Representatives in the country and most of the Senate, or a good piece of the Senate, excuse me, and our state officers, our General Assembly here in the state. And I'd like to be your next senator. I would like to replace Jack Reed, and I'd like to do that without talking about money, but I can't. I have to talk about money. Not just the disgusting money that we spent on the campaigns, not me, and not Mr. Healy, by the way, and if you Republicans want to vote for somebody, but you can't, as you shouldn't be able to, stomach associating yourself with the teabaggers who gave us all of the horrible problems that we have now. I mean, everything. They caused our problems with Ebola. They make the guns easy to get, so we have more shootings. They are the single worst thing that has ever happened to the country. The Republican Party should be disbanded, and all of the elected officers that are Republicans and profess to continue to be Republicans should go to jail. But now, let's talk about Jack Reed. I mentioned Anonymous in my last moment of tape, and that brings me to a man named Edward Snowden. And one of the things that he made it very clear to us, which most people don't know about, is that something called encryption was weakened by the actions of the NSA. So while Jack Reed was in Washington, he knew about, or should have known about, what the NSA was doing. And one of the things he was doing, and now I am speaking for all of you folks who have upwards of $500,000 up to several $1 million, is by weakening encryption, he made all of your money funny money. The government now can not only violate the rights of all the regular citizens based on their lack of concern for the Fourth Amendment, but they can also take all you rich people's money. And they can find it. It doesn't matter where you put it or how well it was hidden. They now have weakened encryption of all financial transactions in the whole world. So Edward Snowden is a hero, and Jack Reed would to this day say that Edward Snowden was the reason that all the bad things ever happened to us. It's his fault that the terrorists know that we're listening to them. I knew we were listening to them when I was a teenager. It's their fault. It's Edward Snowden's fault that the terrorists got away with chopping a man's head off. What did he do? Buy them a knife? Look, they do horrible things. They chop people's heads off. They chop women's things off. They marry children. They impose something called Sharia law, a horrible version of law that should never be put upon any society, should never be forced upon any group of people anywhere ever. But Edward Snowden didn't do that. What he did do was he let us know very clearly what Jack Reed and all his friends in the Senate weren't telling us. They weren't overseeing the black operations, the CIA, NSA, DEA, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. They all did horrible, illegal things. And let me make a small list. They took illegal information that was gathered through illegal wiretaps that the NSA had control of. They gave the information from the illegal wiretaps to the DEA, who then used that illegal information to make cases against your sons, maybe your wife or your husband, or maybe just your third cousin. But they were all American citizens, and they all had a right to a trial. The kind of trial that we have been practicing for years. The ones where both sides have a lawyer, where certain information is allowed into the case and other information is thrown out by the judge. Unfortunately, what we found out from Edward Snowden was that this illegal information that the NSA was handing out to the CIA and handing out to ATF and to the FBI was being faked. They lied to federal judges. They lied to federal prosecutors. They lied to defense attorneys. They made up simultaneous fake investigations that they presented as real investigations. They erased the Constitution. And without Edward Snowden doing Jack Reed's job of overseeing the operations of our government, the secret part of our government, we wouldn't know. We would be having trials left and right all over the country where fake investigations were being presented to, generally speaking, all officers of the court. But we have to be particularly concerned that federal judges were accepting the information that was coming from these federal agencies as true, when these federal agencies were faking them. They were making up evidence, they were making up names, they were making up circumstances, they were faking the cases. Okay? Edward Snowden was a hero. Jack Reed did nothing to help Mr. Snowden. When it came out that Edward Snowden was in the situation he was in, a good senator, a senator with character, would have stood up for him, would have said to the President of the United States directly that under some circumstance, somehow, we must bring Mr. Snowden back into the fold. We must protect him because he gave up his life to protect us, the people, the citizens of the United States of America. His job was to protect the Constitution, not to protect the CIA, the FBI, the CIA, or excuse me, the NSA, the DEA, ATF, or any other organization. His job was to protect us. And Edward Snowden did that, and Jack Reed did not. He was a soldier in an old war where they did things an old way. Well, the world is young again, Jack. Every day the world is young again. And you're not getting any younger. And you are obviously too old to understand that Edward Snowden was a hero. Maybe one of the greatest heroes of our time. There were others. And I will bring up another name in this particular little video. The name is Chelsea Manning. That's what she calls herself now. And we must respect that. When she joined the service, she was Bradley Manning. She was roughed up by her comrades, pushed around by her officers. She was given a rough time. Well, he at the time was given a rough existence in the military. And his response, at the time, a male, was to listen and do his job. And as he listened and did his job, he heard that all those people who he felt like he was doing wrong by, because he was being hassled by them, he thought he was the bad guy. He listened as he was working on the computers in Iraq, and he heard that our soldiers were laughing about killing innocent civilians. I wanted to know that. I'm glad he told me. I'm glad that when I talk about the U.S. government, I can honestly say that we went in the wrong direction. That George W. Bush turned our fine young soldiers into brutes, into animals. The Geneva Convention meant nothing to George W. Bush. Now, by the time Bradley Manning let the information that he listened to when he worked in Iraq. Obama was in office, President Obama, excuse me. And Secretary Clinton was embarrassed, excuse me, when the information came out. So they went after Bradley Manning, and he did break the law. And he's in prison for 35 years. And that's tough to take. But he took it. Like a man, like a woman, like a soldier. One small difference. This young man right here, okay? This young man, Aaron Swartz, he was also, in a sense, sentenced to life. Should have been, in the eyes of Carmen Ortiz, the U.S. attorney in in Boston. They charged him with a crime that had a 35-year jail sentence. And what he did was he published free academic papers. Did we make mistakes? Yeah, we made a lot of mistakes. And I'm talking about my president, the president I'm proud of. And I am proud of Barack Obama. But if I go to Washington, I will not let a day go by when I don't bring up the differences between the way I feel about our rights and our right to know what our government is doing, and the incredible secrecy that we've experienced in the last 20 years. And I will change that. And as Senator, transparency and the privacy that we have lived so long with will remain ours. Transparency for the government, privacy for us. And that is an absolute. I go to Washington, and my first job, my most important job, is to find a way that our government can be transparent and we can live with the privacy that we deserve. Send me to Washington. Make me your senator, and I will give you privacy. And at the same time, I will make sure that we all have the right to know what our government is doing. Net neutrality or death. Thank you.